Dr. Kang Do-yun wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stared at the massive machine in front of him. The quantum communication array stood 3 meters tall and hummed with energy. Blue lights flickered across its surface like tiny stars. He had been working on this project for 2 years, and today was the day he would finally test it. The research station. Harmony floated in the darkness of space, far from Earth and far from any other human settlement. Through the large windows of the lab, Do-yun could see the dying red star that gave this system its name. Soon that star would explode, but not for another 1,000 years. By then, humans would probably have spread to 100 more worlds. "Are you ready for the test?" asked Captain Park Ji-won as she entered the lab. She was a tall woman with short black hair and the confident walk of someone who had spent years commanding spaceships. She had been watching Do-hyun's work with interest, knowing that better communication could save lives across human space. "Almost," Do-hyun replied, checking his instruments one more time. "Lee Min-ho finished the final connections this morning. Everything looks good." Engineer Lee Min-ho looked up from his computer screen. He was younger than Do-hyun, barely 25, but he understood machines better than anyone on the station. "All systems show green lights," he said. "The quantum field is stable. We should be able to send a message to Earth in real time." Dr. Choi Ha-young entered the lab carrying a cup of coffee. She was the station's expert on alien life, though they had never actually met any aliens. Most humans believed they were alone in the universe, but Ha-young studied the possibilities anyway. "What exactly does this machine do?" she asked. Do-hyun smiled. He loved explaining his work. "Normal messages take years to travel between stars, even using our fastest ships. But this machine uses quantum entanglement. 2 particles can be connected across any distance. When one changes, the other changes instantly. We can use this to send messages faster than light." "And you think it will work?" Captain Park asked. "The math says it should. We have quantum-entangled particles here and on Earth. When I change the particles here, the ones on Earth should change at the same moment. No delay, no matter how far apart we are." Ha-young sipped her coffee and watched the machine. "What kind of message are you sending?" "Something simple. Just hello, Earth. Test transmission 847, all systems nominal." Nothing fancy for the first test. What none of them knew was that today was also special for another reason. Far across the galaxy, on a massive space station called Concordia, representatives from 47 different alien species were meeting for the first Galactic Peace Summit in 400 years. Humans had no idea this meeting was happening. Earth was too far away and too primitive for the galactic community to notice. The alien species had been watching each other nervously for months. The Veltar Empire, with their powerful warships, and proud warrior culture, was arguing with the Nexus Collective, a group of species that connected their minds directly to their machines. Both sides had brought their largest fleets to the summit, supposedly for protection, but everyone knew they were preparing for war. The summit was humanity's greatest achievement, except humans did not know it existed. And in 1 hour, Do-hyun's simple test would change everything. "Beginning final countdown," Min-ho announced. "All stations report ready." Captain Park activated the station's recording systems. If this worked, it would be a historic moment. "Proceed when ready, Doctor." Do-hyun placed his hand on the activation control. The machine began to hum louder, and the blue lights grew brighter. "Quantum field charging," he said. "Field strength at 50%, 75%, optimal level reached." "Message ready," Min-ho reported. "Transmitting in 3, 2, 1. Send." Do-hyun pressed the button. The machine pulsed with brilliant blue light. Energy readings spiked across all the monitors. For a moment, everything seemed perfect. The quantum field was stable. The message was transmitting. Earth would receive humanity's first faster-than-light communication in exactly 0 seconds. "Transmission complete," Min-ho announced. "All systems normal. We did it." Captain Park smiled and shook Do-hyun's hand. "Congratulations, Doctor. You just made history." But 50 light-years away, something terrible was happening. The alien warships at the Peace Summit suddenly went dark. Every ship with an advanced computer system simply stopped responding. Pilots who had been connected to their vessels through neural links felt their minds torn away from their machines. Thousands of ships, from tiny scouts to massive battleships, became floating metal tombs in space. On the Veltar flagship Blood of Warriors, War Master Kethvar felt his connection to the ship's systems disappear like someone had cut a cable in his brain. Emergency lights flashed red as the ship's artificial intelligence went silent. "What is happening?" he roared at his crew. Similar scenes played out across the summit. The Nexus Collective's ships, which were actually living machines, with their own thoughts, fell into deep unconsciousness. The crystal ships of the Tonri species cracked as their harmonic guidance systems failed. Every advanced species in the galaxy discovered that their most sophisticated technology had simply stopped working. "It's an attack!" screamed the Veltar. "Admiral, someone has sabotaged our ships!" "Impossible," replied the Nexus Overmind through an emergency communication device that still worked. "Our systems cannot be hacked. This is something else." The alien leaders began accusing each other immediately. The Peace Summit became a shouting match as each species blamed the others for what was clearly an act of war. Some claimed the Veltar had developed a new weapon. Others suspected the Nexus Collective of creating a virus that could affect any computer system. None of them thought to look toward the small unknown species called humans, living in their tiny corner of the galaxy, celebrating the success of a simple communication test. Back on the research station, Do-Yun was reviewing the test data when Minho noticed something strange on his instruments. "Doctor, I'm getting some odd readings from the quantum field generators." "What kind of readings?" "It looks like the quantum pulse spread much further than we calculated. The field reached at least 50 light-years in all directions." Ha-Yung looked up from her coffee. "Is that dangerous?" "It shouldn't be," Do-Yun said, but he was frowning as he studied the data. "The quantum field was designed to affect only our entangled particles. It should have ignored everything else." Captain Park's communication device suddenly began beeping with urgent messages. Her face grew pale as she read them. "I'm getting reports from Earth Command. They say alien ships have been detected on long-range sensors. Multiple fleets heading toward human space. Aliens?" Ha-Yung almost dropped her coffee. "Real aliens?" "According to this, yes. And they seem angry about something." Do-Hyun stared at his machine, a cold feeling growing in his stomach. "How long until they reach us?" "Earth Command estimates 72 hours for the fastest ships to reach this system." The four humans looked at each other in growing horror. Do-Yun's greatest achievement had become humanity's greatest danger, and he had no idea why. 50 light-years away, the alien fleets were already moving toward the source of the mysterious signal that had crippled their ships. They were coming for revenge against an enemy they had never heard of, bringing enough firepower to turn entire worlds into dust. The peaceful research station Harmony waited in the darkness, its small crew unaware that they had just accidentally started what might become the largest war in galactic history. The news spread through the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Within 6 hours of the incident, every major alien civilization knew about the human attack that had crippled 16,000 ships simultaneously. The quantum communication networks buzzed with angry messages and demands for revenge. On the Veltar homeworld, War Master Kethvar stood before the High Council wearing his black armor of war. His species believed that any attack on their ships was an attack on their honor, and honor could only be restored through blood. "The humans have declared war on us," he announced to the gathered warriors. "They possess a weapon that can disable our greatest ships from impossible distances. This cannot stand. I request permission to cleanse their space of this threat." The High Council agreed without debate. Within hours, the largest Veltar war fleet in 3 centuries began moving toward human space. Their ships were massive, dark vessels shaped like metal birds of prey, each one carrying enough weapons to level a city. Far across the galaxy, the Nexus Collective was making its own preparations. The Overmind, a vast artificial intelligence that controlled their civilization, had calculated the threat level of this new human weapon. The results were disturbing. "Analysis complete," the Overmind announced to its subsidiary intelligences. "The humans have developed technology that specifically targets consciousness-machine integration. This suggests they have been studying our neural interface systems. Probability of coordinated attack, 97.3%. Recommended response, immediate neutralization of human technological capacity." The Nexus ships were different from the Veltar vessels. They were smooth, silver, and beautiful, but they carried weapons that could tear apart matter at the atomic level. Their fleet was smaller but more advanced, and they were just as angry as the warriors. On the research station Harmony, Dr. Kang Do-yun had not slept in 2 days. He sat in his laboratory, surrounded by printouts and computer screens, trying to understand what had gone wrong with his quantum communication test. The machine that had once filled him with pride now seemed like a monster waiting to strike again. "Any progress?" asked Captain Park Ji-won as she entered the lab with another cup of coffee. Dark circles under her eyes showed that she was not sleeping either. "I think I know what happened," Do-yun said quietly, "but I don't understand how it's possible." Dr. Choi Ha-young looked up from her own research station, where she had been studying every piece of information about alien technology that Earth had ever collected. It was not much, since humans had never actually met any aliens before, but she was starting to see a pattern. "Tell us," Captain Park said. Do-hyun pointed to a complex diagram on his computer screen. "The quantum frequency I used for the communication test was 847.3 terahertz. I chose that frequency because it was clear of all known interference sources. But look at this data from our deep space telescopes." He brought up another screen showing electromagnetic readings from distant star systems. "These signatures come from alien ships we've detected over the years. We always assumed they were engine emissions or communication signals, but now I think there's something else." "What?" Ha-young asked. "I think they're brainwaves, neural activity. The aliens connect their minds directly to their machines, and they all use the same basic frequency, the frequency I accidentally broadcast across 50 light-years of space." Captain Park stared at the data. "You're saying you transmitted directly into their brains?" "Into their connection with their ships. It would be like someone screaming directly into your mind while you're trying to drive. The neural shock would be severe enough to break the connection entirely." Engineer Lee Min-ho, who had been quietly working on improving the station's defenses, looked up from his console. "Captain, I'm getting a priority message from Earth Command. Admiral Yoon Tae-won is requesting immediate communication." The main screen flickered to life, showing the stern face of Earth's most senior military officer. Admiral Yoon Tae-won had commanded the defense of humanity's colonies for 20 years, but he had never faced anything like this situation. "Captain Park, I need a full report on what happened at your station," he said without delay. "We have 17 human colonies that are being evacuated right now. Alien fleets are approaching all along our border, and they seem to be heading for your location." "Admiral, Dr. Do-hyun believes the incident was caused by his quantum communication experiment," Captain Park replied. "The transmission frequency interfered with alien neural machine interfaces. How bad is the damage?" Dr. Baek Jin-soo, Earth's leading expert on theoretical alien technology, appeared on the screen beside the Admiral. "Captain, we've been analyzing the long-range sensor data. The quantum pulse didn't just interfere with alien ships, it created microscopic tears in the fabric of space itself." Do-hyun felt his blood turn cold. Tears in space? The quantum field was so powerful that it actually damaged space-time on a molecular level. "These tears are spreading slowly, but if they continue to grow, they could make faster-than-light travel impossible in this entire region of the galaxy." Ha-young stood up suddenly. "That's why they're so angry. We didn't just attack their ships. We potentially damaged their ability to travel between stars." Admiral Yoon's face grew grim. "Ambassador Kim So-young is at the Galactic Peace Summit trying to negotiate, but the aliens are demanding that we surrender the research team for trial as war criminals. They want Dr. Do-hyun and everyone involved in the experiment." "What did the ambassador tell them?" Captain Park asked. "She told them that humans don't surrender their people to alien justice. But that means they're preparing to take you by force." Min-ho looked up from his sensor readings. "Captain, I'm detecting 3 ships approaching the edge of our solar system. They don't match any human designs." Captain Park activated the station's defensive systems, though she knew they would be useless against advanced alien warships. "How long until they arrive?" 6 hours, maybe 7. Admiral Yoon spoke again. "My fleet is 3 days away, but we might not arrive in time. You need to prepare for the possibility that you'll have to defend yourselves." "With what?" Min-ho asked. "Our weapons are designed to clear space debris, not fight warships." Dr. Baek Jin-soo leaned forward on the screen. "There might be another option." Dr. Do-yun, could you recreate the quantum pulse intentionally? Theoretically, yes, but it would make the space-time damage much worse. It might also disable the alien ships again, giving you time to escape. Do-hyun shook his head. I won't be responsible for making this crisis worse. There has to be another way. Ha-young had been studying her alien technology data throughout the conversation. Wait, she said suddenly. Look at this. The space-time. Tears aren't random. They're following specific patterns. She brought up a star map showing the location of every reported tear. They're following the old hyperspace trade routes, the paths that ships use to travel faster than light. It's like the quantum pulse found existing weaknesses in space and made them worse. Existing weaknesses? Do-hyun asked. Think about it. Faster-than-light travel has to work by bending space somehow. What if space in this region was already strained? From millions of years of hyperspace travel? What if your pulse just revealed damage that was already there? Captain Park studied the pattern. If that's true, then this isn't entirely our fault. The space-time damage was already happening slowly. But our transmission made it happen fast, Do-hyun said. We turned a process that might have taken thousands of years into something happening in days. Minho's sensors began beeping urgently. Captain, the approaching ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They're 20 minutes away and they're powering up their weapons. Through the windows of the laboratory, they could see 3 dark shapes against the stars. The lead ship was massive, easily 10 times larger than their research station. Strange lights flickered along its hull, and even from this distance, they could feel something threatening about its presence. This is Veltar warship Sharthak, came a harsh voice over the communication system. You will surrender the humans responsible for the attack on our fleets, or we will take them by force. You have 10 minutes to respond. Captain Park looked at her small crew. Dr. Do-yun, the scientist who had accidentally started an interstellar incident. Engineer Minho, barely out of school but trying to keep them alive. Dr. Ha-young, studying aliens she had never expected to meet under these circumstances. And herself, a military officer trained to protect human space, now facing an enemy she didn't understand. What are your orders, Captain? Minho asked. Park activated the communication system. Veltar warship, this is Captain Park Ji-won of the Terran Research Station Harmony. We are prepared to discuss this situation, but we will not surrender our personnel. Then you have chosen war, the alien voice replied. In the distance, the massive alien ships began moving toward the station, their weapons charging with deadly energy. The small human research station waited alone in the darkness, its crew about, to face the consequence of one man's simple attempt to say hello to Earth. The Veltar warship Sharthak had fired its first warning shot when something impossible happened. A silver ship appeared between the alien vessel and the human research station, moving so fast it seemed to teleport into position. The ship was beautiful and strange, with flowing lines that hurt the eyes to look at directly. Veltar vessel, stand down immediately, came a new voice over the communication channels. This voice was different, mechanical, but somehow alive at the same time. This system is under Nexus collective protection during the investigation. On the research station, Captain Park Ji-won stared through the window at the silver ship. Are they here to help us or capture us? Dr. Kang Do-yun was still working frantically at his computer. I don't think it matters. Look at these readings. He pointed to his instruments, which were showing massive distortions in local space. The space-time tears are getting worse, much worse. Engineer Lee Minho confirmed the readings on his own equipment. The tears are spreading faster now. It's like having more ships in the area is making the damage accelerate. The communication system crackled as the Veltar War Master responded to the Nexus ship. We do not recognize your authority here, machine lovers. The humans attacked our fleets. They must face justice. The humans may have caused more damage than either of our species, the Nexus voice replied. Our analysis indicates that the space-time distortions could collapse this entire sector if they continue spreading. Dr. Choi Ha-young looked up from her research. They're right. I've been studying the pattern of the tears. If they keep expanding, at this rate, faster-than-light travel will become impossible across 1,000 light-years within 6 months. 1,000 light-years? Captain Park asked. That would cut the galaxy in half. It gets worse. The tiers are following the major hyperspace routes. If they reach the galactic core, they could spread everywhere. Every civilization in the galaxy would be trapped on their home worlds. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Song Yunji was receiving similar reports from her scientists. The most senior officer in Earth's military, she had spent her entire career preparing for the day humanity might meet alien life. She had never imagined it would happen like this. Dr. An Sungmin, explain this to me in simple terms, she ordered the theoretical physicist who had been studying the crisis. Admiral, imagine space as a piece of fabric, Dr. An said. Faster than light. Travel works by folding that fabric. But if you fold fabric too many times in the same places, it starts to weaken. The quantum pulse from Dr. Do-Yun's experiment didn't just bend space. It revealed that space was already damaged from millions of years of hyperspace travel. So this was going to happen eventually? Yes, but over thousands of years. The quantum pulse compressed that timeline into months. We're seeing the natural death of hyperspace travel happening all at once. Admiral Song studied the reports. Is there a way to stop it? Maybe. But it would require cooperation with the alien civilizations. And right now they want to execute the humans responsible. Back at the research station, the situation was becoming more complex by the hour. More ships were arriving in the system. Not just Veltar and Nexus vessels, but representatives from dozens of other species. Each new arrival made the space-time distortions worse. Commander Lim Woo-jin piloted his small reconnaissance ship through the growing fleet of alien vessels. His ship was humanity's most advanced, built with experimental technology that allowed it to move quickly through damaged space. What he saw during his scouting mission changed everything. Captain Park, you need to see this, he reported over the communication link. There are structures out here, ancient structures, floating in space near the worst of the space-time tiers. What kind of structures? I don't know. They're not like anything in our databases. They're huge, maybe 10 kilometers long, and they're made of some kind of crystal or metal that I can't identify. But here's the strange part. They seem to be trying to repair the space-time damage. Dr. Do-Yun looked up from his work. That's impossible. No known technology can repair space-time. I'm sending you the sensor readings now, Commander Lim replied. These things are definitely affecting the quantum field. Where they're operating, the tiers are healing instead of spreading. The data appeared on Do-Hyun's screen, and his eyes widened as he studied it. These structures are using quantum field manipulation on a scale I can't even understand. The technology is thousands of years ahead of anything we know about. Dr. Yang Ji-hoon, who had just arrived from Earth as a specialist in ancient alien technology, examined the readings with growing excitement. I've seen patterns like this before in archaeological sites. These aren't ships or stations. They're machines, but they're older than any civilization we know about. How old? Ha-Yong asked. Millions of years, maybe more, and they've been working this entire time, automatically repairing space-time damage caused by hyperspace travel. Dr. Do-Yun's quantum pulse must have overloaded them somehow. The implications hit everyone at the same time. The galaxy's ability to travel faster than light had been maintained by ancient machines that no living civilization remembered building. And now those machines were failing. On the Veltar flagship, War Master Kethvar was receiving similar reports from his own scouts. The proud warrior was struggling to understand technology that made his people's greatest achievements look primitive. Advisor, what are these structures? He demanded. Unknown, War Master, but our sensors indicate they have been maintaining the stability of hyperspace for eons. Without them, faster-than-light travel becomes impossible. And the humans damaged them? The humans revealed that they were already failing. The quantum pulse was simply the final stress that caused the breakdown to accelerate. On the Nexus vessel, the ship's artificial intelligence was reaching the same conclusions through its own analysis. The Overmind spoke to its subordinate minds across the fleet. Priority update. The humans are not responsible for creating this crisis. They are responsible for accelerating a crisis that was already occurring naturally. Revised recommendation. Cooperation with all species to address existential threat to galactic civilization. Captain Park received communication requests from both fleets simultaneously. For the first time since the crisis began, the alien voices did not sound angry. Captain Park, came the Veltar War Master's voice. Our scientists confirm that your people are not entirely responsible for this situation, but you may be the key to solving it. The Nexus ship's AI added its own message. The quantum frequency used by Dr. Do-hyun appears to be similar to the control frequencies used by the ancient repair machines. This suggests a natural compatibility between human neural patterns and the ancient technology. Do-hyun stood up slowly. Are you saying that humans can somehow interface with these machines? That is our hypothesis, the AI replied. Your species appears to have evolved quantum-sensitive neural patterns that other species developed artificially through cybernetic enhancement. Captain O. Hyarim, commanding Earth's newest experimental ship, had just arrived in the system with a small fleet of human vessels. Her ship was equipped with quantum field generators similar to Do-hyun's communication array. "This is Captain O speaking," she announced to all ships in the system. "I volunteer to test the interface with the ancient machines. If there's a chance we can fix this, we have to try." Admiral Song's voice came through from Earth. "Permission?" "Granted, Captain. Dr. Yang, I need you to work with the alien scientists to understand how this interface might work." For the first time in galactic history, human and alien scientists began working together. Veltar engineers, with their practical approach to technology, worked alongside Nexus AIs that could process information at the speed of light. Human researchers brought their intuitive understanding of quantum mechanics, while other species contributed knowledge of technologies that predated their civilizations. Dr. Yang discovered that the ancient machines responded to direct neural contact in a way that none of the alien species could achieve safely. Their cybernetic interfaces were too rigid, too mechanical. But human consciousness, with its natural quantum sensitivity, could connect to the machines without technological mediation. "It's like the difference between using a computer and dreaming," Yang explained to the mixed group of scientists. "The machines don't respond to logical commands. They respond to quantum patterns that match natural thought processes." Captain O prepared her ship for the first test of human-ancient machine interface. As she approached one of the massive crystal structures, her ship's quantum field generators synchronized with the ancient technology. "I'm making contact," she reported. "The machine is... It's like it's been waiting for someone who could understand it properly." Through the interface, Captain O could feel the vast network of repair machines that had been maintaining galactic civilization for millions of years. They had been failing slowly, becoming less efficient as they grew older, and the damage to space became more complex. But they had also been learning, waiting for a species that could help them evolve their repair methods for a galaxy with much more hyperspace traffic than they had been designed to handle. "The machines want to rebuild the hyperspace network," Captain O reported. "Not just repair it, but make it better, stronger." The first sign that something had changed came from Commander Lim Woojin's reconnaissance ship. His sensors detected massive quantum signatures approaching from deep space, moving at speeds that should have been impossible, even for the most advanced civilizations. "Captain Park, you need to see this," he reported from his position near the ancient repair machines. "Something big is coming. Really big." On the research station, Dr. Kang Do-hyun looked up from his work with the alien scientists. They had been making progress with the ancient machines, but the process was slow and dangerous. Each attempt to interface with the quantum repair systems risked creating more space-time tears. "How big are we talking about?" Captain Park asked. "The fleet that's approaching consists of at least 50 ships, each one larger than anything we've ever seen. And Captain, their quantum signatures match the ancient machines perfectly." Dr. Yang Ji-hoon, who had been studying the repair machines for days, felt his heart skip. "That's impossible. The civilization that built these machines died out millions of years ago." "Maybe they didn't die out," suggested Dr. Choi Ha-young. "Maybe they just went somewhere else." The approaching fleet was unlike anything in the galaxy's recorded history. The ships were massive structures that seemed to grow rather than being built, with organic curves and crystalline surfaces that shifted color as they moved. They appeared from hyperspace, not with the violent flash that characterized most faster-than-light travel, but with a gentle ripple that barely disturbed the fabric of space. The largest ship was 10 kilometers long and shaped like a vast flower, made of metal and crystal. As it approached the area where dozens of alien fleets had gathered around the research station, it broadcast a message on frequencies that every species could understand. Greetings, younger species. We are the architects. We have returned to evaluate your readiness for the next phase of galactic evolution. On the Veltar flagship, War Master Kethvar struggled to process what he was seeing. His people had legends of ancient builders, but he had always assumed they were myths. Advisor, are these truly the ones who built the hyperspace network? Unknown, War Master. But their technology matches the ancient signatures exactly. Our sensors cannot even determine what their ships are made of. The Nexus Collective's AI was having similar difficulties analyzing the newcomers. Unable to penetrate their systems, the Overmind reported to its fleet. Their technology operates on principles that our current understanding cannot explain. The lead architect ship moved toward the research station, and Captain Park felt a strange mixture of awe and terror. These beings had built the infrastructure that allowed galactic civilization to exist, and now they were here to judge humanity's actions. Research Station Harmony, came a new voice, ancient and patient like the sound of deep water. We wish to speak with the human called Do-Yun, who initiated the quantum cascade. Do-Yun felt every eye in the laboratory turn toward him. The man who had accidentally started this crisis was being summoned by beings older than recorded history. This is Dr. Kang Do-Yun, he replied over the communication system, his voice barely steady. I'm sorry about the damage my experiment caused. Damage? The ancient voice sounded almost amused. Child of Earth, you have not caused damage. You have initiated a test that we have been waiting millions of years to observe. Captain O'Hiram, who had been working with the repair machines, listened to the conversation with growing understanding. The quantum pulse wasn't an accident, she said suddenly. It was a signal. The machines were programmed to fail when someone developed the right kind of quantum technology. The architect confirmed her guess. Correct, Captain O. Your species has achieved something remarkable. In less than 1,000 years of technological development, you have independently discovered quantum entanglement communication. Most species require millions of years to develop this capability. Dr. An Seungmin, participating in the conversation, from Earth, asked the question that everyone was thinking. Why is that important? Because quantum entanglement communication requires an intuitive understanding of consciousness-reality interaction that cannot be taught through conventional learning. Your species possesses natural quantum sensitivity in your neural patterns. This is extraordinarily rare. The implications began to sink in for everyone listening. Dr. Yang had been right about humans being able to interface with the ancient machines, but the reason was far more profound than anyone had imagined. You're saying humans are special? Asked Admiral Song from Earth. Not special. Compatible. The quantum repair network requires conscious beings who can think in quantum patterns rather than digital ones. Most species develop digital consciousness as they advance technologically. Humans have retained quantum consciousness, even as you developed advanced technology. Captain Park tried to understand what this meant for the crisis. Can we help fix the hyperspace network? You can do more than fix it, the architect replied. You can help us evolve it. The current network was designed for a galaxy with perhaps a dozen spacefaring species. You now have thousands of civilizations using hyperspace. Travel. The network needs to be rebuilt for modern requirements. The ancient being explained that the architects had not disappeared. They had been waiting in deep space for a species to develop the right combination of technological advancement and quantum consciousness. They had watched civilizations rise and fall, but none had achieved the balance necessary to help maintain galactic infrastructure. What happened to the other species that tried? War Master Kethvar asked. They chose different paths. Some became pure digital consciousness, like your Nexus Collective, gaining vast computational power but losing quantum intuition. Others remained purely biological but rejected advanced technology. A few destroyed themselves through warfare or environmental collapse. And humans? Humans developed advanced technology while retaining biological consciousness and emotional intuition. This combination is necessary for working with quantum systems that respond to thought and feeling rather than logical commands. Dr. Park? Minji, a quantum archaeologist who had been studying the ancient machines, made a disturbing discovery. The space-time tiers aren't just affecting our reality. I'm detecting quantum signatures from parallel universes. The damage is creating connections between different versions of our galaxy. The architect's voice became more serious. This is the true test. The quantum cascade has created what we call a convergence event. Multiple parallel realities are beginning to intersect. This happens perhaps once in the lifetime of a universe. Is that dangerous? Dr. Do-Hyun asked. It can be. Some parallel realities contain civilizations that developed differently. In some versions of galactic history, cooperation never developed. Those realities contain species that view any form of alliance as weakness to be exploited, as if summoned. By the architect's words, sensors across the fleet detected new ships emerging from the space-time tears. These vessels were clearly human in design, but they were larger and more aggressive than anything Earth had ever built. Their hulls were black metal covered in weapon systems, and they moved with the confidence of predators. Unknown human vessels. Identify yourselves, Captain Park transmitted. The response came from a voice that sounded like Admiral Yoon Tae-won, but harder and colder. This is Admiral Yoon of the Terran Empire. We claim this system and all alien vessels within it as property of humanity. You will surrender immediately or be destroyed. Captain O realized with horror what they were seeing. It's us, an alternate version of humanity where we became conquerors instead of explorers. The alternate human fleet was 3 times larger than anything in the current reality, with ships designed purely for war. Behind them came more vessels from other parallel realities, versions of the Veltar that had conquered their entire galaxy, Nexus collective minds that had absorbed all, biological life and species that no one in the current reality had ever seen. The convergence event offers a choice, the architect explained calmly as chaos erupted around them. You can allow the realities to separate again, returning each timeline to its isolated development. Or you can choose convergence, creating a stable network between parallel realities that would allow unprecedented cooperation and growth. What's the cost of convergence? Admiral Song asked from Earth. You must prove that your civilization can handle the responsibility. The alternate realities include versions where cooperation failed, where species chose conquest over alliance. If you cannot find a way to integrate or manage these aggressive alternatives, convergence will result in constant war across infinite realities. The alternate Terran Empire fleet opened fire on the alien ships, apparently believing that attacking first was the best strategy. The current reality's human ships found themselves fighting alternate versions of themselves while trying to protect the alien allies they had only recently stopped fighting. Dr. Do-Hyun, the architect said, the quantum communication array that started this crisis is the key to controlling the convergence. But using it requires a conscious choice about what kind of future your civilization wants to create. Do-Hyun looked around the laboratory at his colleagues. Captain Park, who had chosen to protect alien allies rather than surrender to fear. Dr. Kang Do-Hyun stood before his quantum communication array, watching the battle rage in space around the research station. Ships from multiple realities fought each other, while space-time itself continued to tear apart. The weight of an impossible choice pressed down on him like the gravity of a star. Doctor, we need a decision, Captain Park Ji-won said urgently. The alternate Terran Empire is targeting the station. They think we're weak for working with aliens. Through the laboratory windows, Do-Hyun could see the massive black ships of the Empire firing on both alien vessels and the current reality's human fleet. Their Admiral Yoon was nothing like the man Do-Hyun knew. This version of humanity had chosen conquest over cooperation, fear over understanding. The convergence is accelerating, reported Dr. Park Min-ji from her position monitoring the space-time tiers. I'm detecting at least 17 different realities now, and more are connecting every hour. Each new reality brought its own version of galactic civilization. Some showed species that had learned to work together, creating peaceful alliances that spanned entire galaxies. Others revealed civilizations locked in eternal war, their technologies focused only on destruction. Most disturbing were the realities where one species had completely dominated all others, creating empires built on slavery and oppression. The convergence entity, a being that existed across all realities simultaneously, spoke to Do-Hyun through the quantum array. Its voice was like hearing every possible version of his own thoughts at once. Time grows short, Dr. Do-yun. The quantum tiers are spreading beyond this local area. Soon, the convergence will become permanent whether you choose it or not, but without conscious guidance, it will create chaos rather than order. What exactly happens if I choose convergence? Do-yun asked. All realities become connected through stable quantum networks. Travel and communication between parallel universes becomes possible. Your species and others will have access to infinite knowledge, infinite possibilities for growth and discovery. And the cost? You will also have infinite potential for conflict. The aggressive realities will not simply disappear. They will need to be contained, managed, or somehow integrated into the larger network. Captain O'Hiram, who had been working directly with the ancient machines, provided more technical details. The architect systems can create stable barriers between realities that are incompatible. We could isolate the conquest-focused timelines while allowing cooperation between the peaceful ones. That still means managing an infinite number of potential problems, pointed out engineer Lee Minho. Dr. Choi Ha-young, who had been studying the different versions of species they had encountered, made an observation that changed everything. What if the aggressive realities aren't inherently evil? What if they just never had the opportunity to learn cooperation? She brought up data showing the alternate Terran Empire. Look at their timeline. Humanity never met aliens through peaceful contact. Their first encounter was with a species that tried to conquer Earth. They learned that the galaxy was dangerous, so they became dangerous in response. Admiral Song, monitoring the situation from Earth, understood the implications. You're suggesting that the hostile realities could learn to be peaceful if given the right opportunities? Maybe. But it would require showing them that cooperation is stronger than conquest, and that would take time we might not have. The battle outside was intensifying. The current reality's mixed fleet of human and alien ships was being overwhelmed by the superior firepower of the Empire vessels. The Veltar Warmaster Kethvar fought alongside Nexus Collective ships, but their recent alliance was no match for an empire that had spent centuries perfecting the art of war. Dr. Do-hyun came. The voice of the alternate Admiral Yoon over the communication system. Surrender the quantum technology to the Empire. We will bring order to this chaos and unite all realities under human leadership. That's not unity, Do-hyun replied. That's conquest. What's the difference? In our reality, humans rule a galaxy at peace because we eliminated the possibility of conflict. No wars, no disagreements, no chaos. And no freedom, no growth, no discovery, Captain Park added. Dr. Yang Ji-hoon, working with the ancient repair machines, discovered something crucial about the convergence event. The architects have been through this before. Not in this galaxy, but in others. Most civilizations choose separation when faced with infinite realities. They return to their isolated timelines and develop alone. What happens to the ones that choose convergence? Admiral Song asked. They become something new. Not just a single species or even a single reality, but a network of consciousness that spans infinite possibilities. But it requires giving up the safety of isolation and accepting responsibility for infinite versions of existence. The architect confirmed Yang's discovery. Few civilizations are willing to accept such responsibility. It is easier to remain in one reality, even if it limits growth, than to face the complexity of infinite realities. Do-hyun looked around the laboratory at his colleagues, then at the screens showing the battle outside. The alternate Terran Empire was winning through superior firepower, but their victory would mean the death of everything he valued about humanity's potential for growth and cooperation. What would happen if I choose a third option? He asked. Suddenly, what third option? The convergence entity replied. What if I use the quantum array to create a controlled convergence? Instead of connecting all realities at once, what if we start with just a few compatible ones and build the network gradually? Dr. Park Minji ran calculations on the possibility. It could work. We could establish connections between realities that share similar values, creating a stable foundation before attempting to integrate more difficult ones. And the aggressive realities? We isolate them temporarily, but leave open the possibility of connection once they've had time to observe how cooperation benefits the connected realities. The architect considered this approach. Unprecedented, but theoretically possible. It would require constant monitoring and adjustment, with your species serving as the bridge between realities. Why humans? Captain Park asked. Because you have proven capable of learning cooperation even with former enemies. Your people went from preparing to fight the Veltar and Nexus to working with them in a matter of days. That adaptability is exactly what managing infinite realities would require. Commander Lim Woojin, still scouting near the ancient machines, reported a new development. The space-time tiers are stabilizing in some areas. It's like they're waiting for something. They're waiting for conscious direction, Dr. Do-Yun realized. The quantum field responds to intentional thought, not just accidental transmission. He placed his hands on the quantum communication array's control interface. This time, instead of sending a simple message, he would send his conscious intention across infinite realities. The weight of responsibility was enormous, but so was the potential for something unprecedented in galactic history. Beginning controlled convergence, he announced. Starting with realities that show compatible development patterns, the quantum field began to pulse with controlled energy. Instead of the chaotic burst that had started the crisis, this was a carefully modulated signal that sought out parallel realities where cooperation had developed naturally. The first connection was with a reality where the Galactic Peace Summit had succeeded completely, creating a true alliance between all species. The second connected to a timeline where humanity had developed faster than light travel centuries earlier, allowing for a more gradual integration with alien civilizations. As each new reality connected to the network, the possibilities for learning and growth expanded exponentially. Species could share knowledge across infinite versions of themselves. Problems that seemed impossible in one reality had been solved in another. The aggressive realities, including the Terran Empire, found themselves isolated but not abandoned. They could observe the cooperation network from the outside, seeing how much more the connected realities achieved together than any empire could accomplish through conquest. "It's working," reported Captain O from her interface with the ancient machines. "The quantum network is stable and growing. The isolated realities are beginning to show interest in joining." Admiral Yoon's alternate voice came over the communication system again, but this time with uncertainty rather than aggression. "How are they achieving such rapid technological advancement? Our empire has stagnated for decades." "Through cooperation," Do-Hyun replied. "When you share knowledge freely instead of hoarding it, everyone advances faster." "But what about security, unity, control?" "True unity comes from choice, not force. True security comes from having allies who choose to help you, not subjects who obey from fear." 6 months later, Dr. Kang Do-Yun sat in his laboratory, which had been expanded across 17 dimensions to accommodate research teams from dozens of realities. The research station Harmony had become the first interdimensional diplomatic center, where species from infinite realities worked together on projects that no single timeline could have imagined. The aggressive realities were slowly joining the network as they observed the benefits of cooperation.